everyone, this is Liz from Creative Life of Liz, and I'm here to do one of the most exciting videos of the year for me. And this is where I walk through my Aura Estelle planner. I'm using a B6 daily planner from Aura Estelle. It's a brand new style this year, so I'm excited to show you that. But I got it in the mail, so now it's time for me to walk you through all the stuff that goes in there. Before we get to the exciting bits with the planner, I do want to talk about what else is in that box. I didn't show you the box because the box itself, not that exciting. First off, we have a freebie. This is similar to the one that they had last year, and it includes a bunch of their products as stickers. It is on clear paper this year, which is super cute and fun. I used this as part of my setup last year, and I think I'm going to end up doing the same thing again this year, just because I think it's really cute and I like using these things instead of just hoarding them in my stash indefinitely. So very excited for this. The other thing that I got as a freebie is because I did the pre-order is the monthly goals tip-in. I did open the plastic here already, but basically this is 12 monthly pages that are tip-in pages. So on this side, you get the month and it says monthly goals. So this one says January monthly goals. You have this little strip here that will get folded, and then you peel off the sticker backing that's on here and stick it to the appropriate page. I'll show you when we get there. And then the other side, when you flip it out, has space for 10 goals and some action steps for each of those. Excuse me. So putting all of these into each individual month will then let you have 10 goals for each month. They do also have a quarterly version. That's not the version that I decided to get, just because I tend to think in the kind of monthly space. But just know that that's also an option if you tend to plan more in a kind of quarterly basis. And then the last thing that I'm going to talk through today is the planner. This is obviously the thing that we're all excited about and why we're here. So this is a brand new planner design for 2026. From Aura Estelle. It's called the Magnet Planner. This is the B6 Daily Planner. So this is for people who like a pretty high structure level and a very high discipline level. I use it because I like really long to-do lists. That's like a key feature of my ability to get anything done. So I just love having all the space on each individual day for a long to-do list. So this is my first time opening it, and I am very excited for it for sure. So this is what the main cover looks like when you get it. It does have this kind of paper that flips around, just describing the planner. It has really nice texture actually. This particular planner ended up being made in Japan, so very exciting there. We get Tomoe River paper and all of that good stuff. And then I picked the red color. So this is what the red planner looks like. It's this kind of like faux leather material here. I think it's beautiful. It says B6 Magnet Daily on the front. It has 2026 on the spine, and then it says made in Japan on the back. When we compare it to the 2025 version, which is what I'm using right now, it looks pretty similar on the front. Obviously it had the year and some other things on the front that this new version does not. And then the direction and font changed. And then the back of the 2025 planner doesn't have anything on it at all. This 2025 one was not a magnet planner. This magnet planner is new. So we knew there were going to be changes, obviously, but just something to kind of compare in that kind of regard. I hate breaking the spine, but I know I'm going to have to, so I'm just going to do it right now. So the inside end papers are in this creamy color. It's like a construction paper thickness. It's pretty light. It doesn't feel like construction paper. It's like a cardstock, a lightweight cardstock. But it's a pretty lightweight paper, but definitely something that you could add some stickers to or things like that. You also get some instructions, essentially, on how to use the planner. You can do whatever you want with it. Obviously, it's your planner, but it has some instructions on what you can do with the daily space and the weekly space here. There's some stuff on goal setting and working your way through from yearly goals to monthly or quarterly goals to doing action steps in your monthly trackers. So that's part of that new process now with those tip-ins. And then there's also a little demo here for somebody who's kind of more free flow versus somebody I think, who's more structured, like so with the timeline here. So all options of how to use it, and just do whatever works for you, obviously, but it's nice to see some examples of ways that they kind of expect you to use it based on what they designed. Inside the end paper, you then get to a page that just says B6 Magnate Daily. Again, very similar to the end pages from this one. The end papers here were this gray color, but then very similar. And you can see where I used one of their stickers from last year there. My 2025 is getting kind of chunky, not too surprising on that front. But very similar, very simple page here. I do like this Tomoe River paper. It's very smooth, but I do think that it's gonna write really well. The back of this page is blank, and then you get a nice 2026 calendar. I love how large the font feels and how spaced out it feels. I usually use this page just as a reference page, and occasionally I will put some information on it. So you can see when I set up my 2025 planner, I ended up putting week numbers on each of the 2025 dates. So I could end up doing something similar here. That's something to be decided, but it is nice to have kind of that high level overview all right here. It is a Monday start for the months as well. Moving on to the next page, this is a yearly overview page set up so that the weekends are grayed out. This is a new layout compared to what we've seen in any previous year. We haven't had this page, but it gives you that kind of small space for something quick in your overview. I'm not sure how I'm going to use this page yet, but I am excited to have additional options for yearly tracking or note-taking or things like that. And then we have space here for yearly goals. So we have space on this side for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this one's kind of like squished in down here at the bottom, but there is space for a 6th one on this side and then the same on this side. So in total, you could have 12 goals. You could decide to do 1 goal per month. Sorry, my cats are like fighting in the background or something, so I might have to deal with that. Or you could decide to do kind of 12 goals that cover the whole year, or you could leave some of these blank and you don't have to do 12 goals. You have all the options in that space. You also have this little free space up here, so if you needed like a key or something like that, could definitely be an option as well. And then from there, we go into the monthly spreads. So this looks extremely similar to what we have in previous months. I can't actually show you any of my monthly spreads because they have client details and stuff like that on them. But it looks very similar. Please just trust me on this front. There's a little space down the side and a little space at the bottom. All of it is gridded. And then you have all the dates. The weekend is lighter gray than the weekdays, which is black. I do really like the font. I do really like how it looks. And I do like that the tabs, without being tabbed, it essentially is tabbed. So you can see on the side where all 12 months go along here. That's the same thing that was done in 2025. You can see that mine is much more messy, so you can't see the tabs as well, but they are there. So this is what the monthly spread looks like here. And then we have this new spread on this page, which has a bunch of grid space at the bottom and also open space at the top. There's no grid on the top half, just on the bottom half, but it has space for a bunch of action steps. And then it divides you across your weeks to be able to track whatever it is you need to track. There are quite a few on here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's space for 16 action steps. I will likely use this more as a habit tracker than an action step tracker, just because that's kind of how my brain works. But it's expected that this would be where you put the tip in. So basically, you take like this January one right here, peel off the stickies, and then you stick it right here so that you can fold it in and out, and then you'll be able to look at your goals and then your action steps right next to each other. If it bothers you, the white of these two is slightly different white. This is a more true white. This is a creamier white. However, it's not going to bother me, especially because by the time I finish off my year, all my pages end up getting slightly messy. I mean, I'm a lefty to begin with, so writing is already going to be messy. But I add stickers, I add washi, I scribble a bunch of things. This planner is not beautiful. If you've seen any of my other planners, I tend to keep them a little bit nicer looking, but this one ends up quite messy, and that's just the way it is. So it doesn't really bother me on any of that, but just a thing to know. So you have this page then, and then you now have the page that we've had before, which is the 2 blank pages for putting in whatever it is that you want to do. You could do a monthly vision board. You could do note taking here. You could track additional things. You could put in attending list. You can use this space however makes sense for you. I tend to do it half as habit trackers and then half tending list plus a video tracker because I track my production for my videos. However, obviously with this previous page now in here, I'm going to change some of that up. So I'm not sure how I'm going to use this space, but I'm excited to have it. And I think it's really important to have this kind of couple of pages every month. Just so that we can be flexible and do whatever it is that we need to do with our setup. And then we move in to the weeks. So this one does start on Monday, the 29th of December of this year, because you always start at the start of a week. So week 1 will be 3 days in 2025, and then the other 4 days in 2026. But you get this sidebar situation here. It looks very similar to what we have already. I think I still have one that I formatted but doesn't have any details on it yet, so I can share. Yeah. So you get something pretty similar. The lines are a little darker to divide everything, which I really like. And the week number and the month is bolder and darker, which again, I really like. You can obviously ignore those things if they're not of interest to you. I added the green line to make it clearer, but with this bolder line, it's a little less necessary. And then you get the free grid space. I usually use this for a weekly tending list, but again, you can do whatever you want with it. We then move into the daily pages. These again look essentially the same, with the only difference being the date is much bolder, so that you can read it more clearly. And they've removed the month name at the top here. So this is the same day actually across the two, because this week is in both planners. You can see I already put the line down here. This one will also need a line down it if you want to divide this way. I usually do 10 dots or 10 spaces across, which aligns kind of like with what they're putting in this sample layout and how they do it in their demo layout here. Typically, I just count the spaces, but certainly you could also just make a ruler or use a ruler or something along those lines so that you can just measure across if that's something of interest. I personally like to do that, but again, you know, the world is your oyster essentially. So do whatever you want with that space. I do think I might kind of play around, particularly with what happens in the evening hours. I don't know that I want the divider to go all the way down, but maybe I do, because sometimes my to-do list goes all the way down. I don't know, things to think about. But regardless, the formatting is the same. You get this for every day. And I do want to note, the same is true for Saturday and Sunday. They don't get combined or anything. You get full pages for the weekends, which is a feature that I really like of this planner, because sometimes I just have a busy weekend, you know? And then you move into the next week and you just repeat all of that through to the end of the month, whatever week is predominantly in that month. So this one also includes the 1st of February. And then you move into the next monthly, which is formatted exactly the same. There's no colors inside, nothing like that. So they all look exactly the same for all of the months. And then you get down to the end. So this is going to be 2027. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2027 will be in this planner. And then you get to a bunch of blank pages. I don't know exactly how many blank pages are in here, and I honestly don't feel like counting because it's a lot, but you get a ton of blank pages. The current one also has a ton of blank pages, and I use them quite a bit. If you watched any of my planning videos, you'll notice that I've been using those pages for doing planning activities. I also usually do a pen test, all that kind of stuff. So all of that very much is still in play in this planner here. And then when you get to the end, on the very last page, it just says Estelle B6 Daily 2026 5053. That's the number. And then you close out with the same end pages and then the back. So all of it quite the same. Easy peasy, all looks the same. So with that, I do want to do a quick pen test. I don't have all my pens around me, but we're going to just use whatever it is that I currently have, and we're going to make it work. So first off, my major use pen in a lot of other planners this year has been this iHow 0.38, which is not really a pen that's used a lot. I get a little smear, but not too bad. This is like a very cheap whatever kind of pen. And then the one that I tend to use in my current Estelle is this Energel Clenna. I do have Pentel Energel ink inside here. I have refilled it. But see, that one you get no smear right away. This is a tiny nib, which also helps with the no smearing. And then I also have near me a Uniball Signo. This is another small one. There, again, no problems with smearing that one. And then I have a Zebra Click Art pen. That one tends to smear. It does still smear. That's a major problem in this planner. It's just very smooth. It is what it is. And then I have a Zebra Mild Liner, which I'm just going to draw a line. That one doesn't smear too much. It's a little bit. I can see it a little on my hand. And you can kind of see it's soft here, but not too bad on the smearing overall. And then let's see, what else do I have handy? I feel like I need something bolder. So this is a Pilot G2. That's a little bit bolder. That one definitely smears. That one's a slower drying pen. And then I also have these Mean Show fine liners. Usually what happens is the bigger ones smear more. So I'm going to do the Mean Show. That one doesn't smear too bad, actually. It dries pretty well. A little smear, but not too bad overall. So you get pretty much what you would expect from any of these Tomoe River paper. And if you look at the other side, you get ghosting for essentially everything. I know it's not perfect because I wrote where the logo and stuff is, but you do definitely get a little bit of ghosting. It's a feature of Tomoe River paper, but I have almost never had bleed through issues unless you're using something like a Sharpie. So definitely no issues there. Also very proud of myself for just like writing in this planner. Very stressful, but it does kind of break the seal, and now everything I do for a setup will be perfect, obviously. So with that, that is my setup for today, or not a setup, my talk through today of everything that I got from Estelle. Not a lot, but hopefully you really enjoyed this flip through of the magnet planner, because I'm very excited to get started on using it. You can expect to see on my channel in the next couple of weeks setups for this planner. I'm going to be doing a setup of the kind of yearly pages at the beginning, and then I will also be doing a setup of the January pages for the monthly, just like I've been doing in the old Estelle. You'll be able to see whatever it's looking like when I decide to play around with this slightly different update and this slightly different set of spreads for the new monthlies. But I'm very excited for all of that, so please stick around. As always, please like and subscribe below if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. It helps me out. Let me know what planner or planners you're using for 2026, or if you got the magnet planner or are getting it, if you're excited, let me know about that as well. And then also follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky at Creative Life of Liz. You'll see me using this planner, my other planners, what I'm reading, what I'm doing, all that good stuff. And if you have nothing that you want to say down below, you don't want to interact otherwise, I would just love to still hear from you. So leave me some sort of planner emoji. Seems appropriate, right? And then I will know that you've been here, and I would love to hear from you and say hi, all that good stuff. And until next time, bye.